I think equality is utterly and completely impossible. Regardless of what variable you use to measure a person's worth amongst the populace, whether it be race, gender, religious belief, political beliefs, education, anything, roles of individuals and their appropriated variables differ, and that in turn results in inequality. Because if you're someone who is receiving stimulus from someone outside of their pre-contemplated normality, in a situation that's personal to you, it's going to intrinsically have less value than your own beliefs. This manifests itself in both positive and negative ways. The negatives are obvious, however, the positives are also representation of unequal treatment. And I think this deserves more attention in my little monologue here, because the negatives are really obvious. But we can see that further inquisition toward a new and exciting person is still not a fair distribution of one's psyche across the people that are in your life. Each person is irrefutably human as the next, but it's only people that capture us, that lead us to investment, to invest our most precious resource, that being time. To circumvent this, humans, the great problem solvers that we are, have recently, in terms of human history, manufactured a method which unequally, I guess, permits women to grab the attention of a man in a positive, so good attention-seeking behaviour. So attention-seeking behaviour in a way that allows you to receive positive attention. But it is done in a very primal manner, and that was the topic of Lacey's video. Sex appeal, sex objectification, to be more specific. Naturally, this has negative consequences on people that are attempting to garner attention through more intelligible means, such as common beliefs, practices, or enjoyable activities, intellectual discussion, because there's literally no time, no room for the time consumed through the more traditional flirtations that I just mentioned when compared to sex, because it, on another irrefutable point, cuts to the core of a man's attention, or male's attention in general, because, sex appeal, etc., etc. So, in rebuttal, not that I'm trying to argue with you, messed up is, to quote you, an inaccurate expression to describe such a phenomenon, as it does, in actual fact, make inherent sense. In reference to your specific examples, I do not disagree. However, my personal experience is far less intense than the way that you portrayed it in your video. Perhaps as I live in Australia, it's less prominent in such a garish manner, it being the topic of discussion. Nonetheless, it still holds true to my original proposition. The notion of sex objectification is an all-consuming principle for the intelligence of men, thus allowing more identification with the product that's advertised or promoted, whether it be music, beer, whatever else that you mentioned. Halloween costumes, again, is a representation of that same short-cutting tactic. It's referring to the attention-seeking behaviour of women to, and also conformity, because everyone else is doing it, so you've got to do it to be normal, but that's a different issue. But expectation in the male's behalf, again, justifies why that... Sorry, hang on, I'm going to trim this. Expectation, again, justifies why the objectification, expressed through the male-female photo comparison that you did with the lady and man on the table, is received more amiably amongst a general audience. When the female is on the table, or bench, whatever it was, and when compared to the male in the frame, because we expect to see that. I love your kookaburras. And in terms of one of your more final points, male roles in high society can be explained very simply through a brief look at how social structures have evolved over the course of history. Males were for a time of incomparable quality in terms of modern day sex objectification compared to the course of human history in general. The only way, males are the only way that a society would survive. This is simply because of physicality. They were far more competent at preventing harm in an archaic world from befalling the group, village, family, whatever. So yeah, moving on to mental illness. Your statements are undeniably valid. Moving on to my personal beliefs, I'll conclude on this. I personally believe that approaching these types of issues in a way that is more actualized and less personal permits reception of an intended nature across a wider and more varied audience. However, this style of commentary that you presented certainly does have its place as it's truly motivational. Thank you. I put this in a comment just in case you can't find my video response because of my poor navigation of YouTube. You can also check out some of the books that I've read in the past that I've drawn on the knowledge of to help compose this response. Obviously there's the big ones, Origin of the Species by Charles Darwin, De Anima by Aristotle, and one in regards to the time aspect would be Faster by James Gleick. It's a modern philosophy. Anyway, thank you for watching, if you did. See ya.